What is a DJ in 2026 and where do you fit in?
Welcome to Amsterdam. We are on our way at a place called Railkaart. We are at ADE. We are on our way to do a talk with Native Instruments at 1 p.m. And we've got a mixer tonight. The whole gang's here. Danny's here. Danny's here. Eve's here. And yeah, we're looking forward to today. We landed on Wednesday, went to a mixer last night. Loads of people coming and saying hello, recognise me from the Off the Record podcast. And yeah, we're just going to the Lab Village today where there's loads, thousands and thousands of talks going on. We're excited. Native Instruments have asked us to speak about who is a DJ and what is a DJ in 2026 with all the different paths of a modern DJ, the producer DJ, the creator DJ, the wedding event space, the hobby DJ. So we're excited about that. And also tonight when we host a mixer with Tool and Academy, we've got over 400 people signed up. And we might even have a few beers. Well, definitely have a few beers. But we're excited. We're giving away some goodie bags. There's some merch going on. We've got actually a new merch. Let me take this off. This is a new Crossfader merch. You can't actually buy this, but if there's enough demand, we will sell it.
What is a DJ in 2026 and where do you fit in? I just wanted to stand up so I could see you all in the back, but I'm going to sit down now. Okay. So yeah, DJing in 2026. The modern DJ has shifted. There's so many avenues in which to become a DJ. And this short little clip should show you what I mean.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So we're going to talk today about who counts and what counts as a DJ in 2026. We're going to talk about technology and the access that we have to it. We're going to talk about personalized education within the DJ industry space. We're going to talk about community and network building, and we're going to talk about how we can get attention today as DJs. But just so, what we want to talk about is who counts as a DJ, and there are quite a lot of options. But what I want to ask you today is, why is it that you DJ? I just want you to raise your hand if you fit into any of these categories. If you are just doing it for fun as a hobby, just raise your hand right now. If you are in bars and in clubs, if you're doing some club circuits or club scenes, just raise your hand so I can get who's in the room. Who's doing weddings or events? Who's creating content through DJing? And who is making music whilst DJing, which is probably the majority of you here. And it's interesting because the first thing you get into DJing is because of the passion. And all of these different avenues as a DJ relies on the passion and what you really ultimately want it to be your goal. So as you get into it and you become a hobby DJ, you can pick up a controller like an MX2 for £350. You can take a course from Crossfader and you can be learning to DJ pretty soon and pretty quickly and pretty competently. But with that becomes a lot of people trying to get in the industry. It's never been bigger. You're walking around AD, there's thousands and thousands of people wanting to be in the DJ industry. And the access compared to, 15, 20 years ago is quite low. The barrier to entry is quite low. It's quite easy to get into. So with that becomes a lot of competition. But when you start getting into it, it's basically a creative outlet. It's self-expression, and you're playing music to your friends and your family. But then you got to make the decision of taking it one step further. Now you're going to be going into the clubs. You're going to be a club DJ playing at bars or restaurants. And with that becomes a set of skills that goes beyond just being a hobby DJ. You've got to learn about crowd control. You've got to learn about track selection. You've got to be great on the decks. And through experience, you can build through a live environment, takes you from the next level of being a hobby DJ into being a club DJ. And the reason I bring up wedding and event DJs is because I see that as almost like a completely different sport. There's so many different factors that go in if you're hosting or catering to an event. Sometimes you're dealing with people for months before. you're fulfilling on clients and speaking to clients months before. You might be performing with other performers like saxophones and MCs. You've got to have great hosting skills, great communication skills. You've got to know your equipment inside out. You might be traveling up and down the country, setting up equipment, and if that equipment breaks at your event, then you've got to be the one who fixes it. So there's different skills involved with different DJs. The Creator DJ is the newest DJ in the space in 2025, 2026. People are making a good living from their bedroom, doing live streams, creating with other brands, building a community online. Some of you will follow the pop-up, the YouTube channels where people, do pop-ups in cafes or restaurants or, unique spaces, and they're gathering so much attention, and then they're transferring that into in real life events. So with those comes a different set of skills. You've got content, branding, storytelling, and you've got to be great at building communities. And then finally, which is most of you, which is the DJ producer, which obviously relies on a totally different skill, which is obviously making music, finding your sound, building a fan base to ultimately sell tickets is what the producer DJ stands for. But once the passion grabs you, what happens next? All of these different types of being a modern DJ, you've got to lean in and talk about technology. We're at the Native Instruments panel, who create amazing technology. And technology has moved on so quickly. I don't know if any of you have touched any of these, but some turntables back in the day would cost you thousands and thousands of pounds. And the barrier to entry was really high because you had to spend thousands of pounds of equipment. There was no real education on YouTube or anything like that. And it was quite difficult. The skill and the art of mixing was a very difficult thing. And everything just felt like magic in it as it was happening. Whereas today, now you can see as you walk in, you've got great equipment like the MX2, the Tractor S1. And that just harbors a whole new realm of creativity and possibility. When new technology comes out, when we review them on our channel, it gets a lot of pushback from certain areas of the internet. But you'll see as we move through this presentation that creativity is spiking and pushing the DJ industry forward in amazing ways. Back then, I don't know if you remember this website, but we all used to search on the same website just to get an a cappella. We all used to go to this website, we'd type in your favorite song, and we'd cross our fingers, hope and pray that the a cappella was there. And it usually wasn't. Whereas now, we can use stems at the touch of a button, and they all sound amazing. You can get the drums, you can get the bass, you can get the a cappella. You can put them into your decks and create live remixes and do hot cue plays and create amazing routines. So like I mentioned, the barrier to entry used to be that you'd have to spend thousands of pounds on single records. There was only a limited amount of radio stations, so we were all listening to very similar music or trying hard to find a unique sound. Whereas today, the access and the technology is available to everybody, and we've got to know and understand that, which then allows us to figure out, okay, what is it about me as a DJ that is unique? Can I lean into new technology? Or a lot of you who are making music will know that if you type into certain AI models, you can have a track made within 2 minutes. So what is it about you that is somebody's going to follow along for the journey? What is it about your story if everyone has access to all these amazing tools? How can you lean into technology as opposed to being one of those people who stick with what you know? It's okay, you can come sit down. So, like I mentioned, technology hasn't replaced the craft. If you think about, 20 years ago when people was on turntables, and then we went through the CD era, the USB era, and if you look about now and you're walking around Amsterdam and there's thousands of people wanting to be in this space, it's all due to technology. So, what I would do is urge everybody to get creative as possible with the technology that is provided in front of us, as opposed to being comfortable in the lane that you're already in. So once you've got the passion and you found out what technology you need to go down that path, whether you're a producer DJ, you're in events, whether you're live streaming, and you've leaned into technology, the next thing is to get educated on the path. And there are so many amazing resources. Obviously, that is our greatest passion, is teaching the world how to DJ. But there's so many great, amazing education spaces now online. And we think, after teaching 20,000 students every year, and we've got a huge community of over 2 million people across social media, that the only path in 2026 to education is personalization. And we talked about technology. How we teach technology is to use it intentionally. So we like to teach the old school skills of, beat matching, timing, phrasing, like your hardcore basics. And we layer that on top with new inventions like stems, remix decks, new effects. And we teach DJs not to rely on it, but use it as a tool to be creative. So if you join Crossfader as a student, we're proud to say that we're like one of the only platform in education where we personalize learning, because it's the only way that I think the future of DJing can evolve, because everybody has different interests and there are so many people coming into it. So we have developed a system where you come on, we give you some onboarding questions, and we find out, okay, what equipment are you using? What software are you using? What are your goals? What are your favorite genres? Do you want to produce music? And then we meet you where you are on your stage of your development. So if you are a beginner, we start on stage 1. We've got 6 stages. We start on stage 1, which is your basics. We move on to stage 2, which is your improver, where you want to get a bit more hands-on with tricky transitions or using effects. Stage 3 is genre specific. Mixing house is very different to mixing drum and bass, to mixing techno, to mixing open format, to mixing R&B. We then move on to creative mixing, like scratching, hot cue play. And then we talk about your career. How do you get gigs? How do you manage your music on a day-to-day basis? And then we have just added and launched a new product with Toolroom Academy on making DJ edits and remixes and original tracks. So we believe that's important because there are so many controllers, there's so many software, and there's so much that DJs want to do, that it's important that education and personalization represents that. So when access meets education, creativity explodes in this space. And you can sort of think about it as, the Fred again boiler room, where two worlds come colliding with unbelievable technology and a genius performance. And the lines between a DJ and producer are so blurred now. There used to be a very dividing line of, somebody makes music, somebody DJs in a club, and they were separate, whereas now you are doing both things. I'm sure you're all super aware of that. But creativity only takes you so far. It's what you do with it and who you connect with and how you build your community. You're all here to try and build a network and speak to people and leverage this opportunity of being at AD all week to hopefully build your community. And we think it's probably the most important section of this talk today, because it's probably the most difficult. Most DJs that I know are actually quite introverted. I am myself, and it's quite hard to go and speak to people. So networking, you'll hear a lot of talks today about networking, but I really want to give you some practical tools to networking, because just like DJing, just like producing, I do believe it's a skill, like going to the gym. I think you can train the muscle of networking. As I mentioned, skills do open doors. If you're the best producer in the world, if you're the best DJ in the world, but nobody knows about it, it's a problem. You need to find people who know about it and build your network. So the first step in networking for me, if you're introducing or you're sending a cold DM or you're speaking to people just randomly on the street, bumping into people, is try and lead with some value. What is it about you and your life skills that you have that you can offer to somebody else that you're interested in building a network with? You've all got great, if you're not at the level you want to be as a DJ producer, you've all got life skills. You might have gone to uni or college. You might be a great graphic designer or a photographer, or you might be great at running events. Something about your skill can help the person that you want to network with. So I would put your best foot forward and try and lead with value in any interaction. The second thing is make sure your intentions are genuine. People can smell when you're just after a transaction. And I think that if you can get curious about the person that you're speaking to and ask questions as opposed to just trying to pull something out of somebody, I think that's when genuine connections are made. And just remember that networking is sort of all-encompassing top-level word, but you are just creating a relationship with somebody, and relationships do take time to evolve. And I think that patience is a key to networking, and just being very curious about the person that it is that you're interacting with. And this final one is probably the most underestimated thing, because we don't like rejection. And if you're cold DMing or bump into somebody, I don't think people follow up enough. I think if you follow up once, you feel like you're nagging somebody, or you're just annoying. Whereas you could look at it as you're tenacious and you've got desire in the heart to actually want to make that connection. And if you call DM somebody and they've not read it, they might be on vacation, they might have just be picking their kids up from school, they might just be busy at that moment. And if you miss the opportunity to follow up again with value and with genuine intention, that opportunity might elude you. So before you leave, I just want you to write down 3 names of people. Could be famous DJs, it could be Ketema, Christos, it could be anybody in the whole of ADE that you are going to follow up with after you leave ADE, and what value you are going to offer to that individual. So we've talked about passion, we've talked about technology and access, we've talked about networking, and you can think of all of these as filling up different buckets to your DJ career or your producer career. But then you've got to seek out opportunities and take opportunities, which again is a scary thing, because putting yourself out there for an opportunity opens the doors up to potentially being rejected, and we don't inherently like that. So I'm going to give you 4 examples of some of our Crossfader students who have done amazing things by just trying to take opportunity. They've prepared, they've created opportunity, and some amazing things have come of it. So this is Sabian. In lockdown, he took one of Crossfader courses, and he was a big fan of James Hype, so he followed one of his videographers. And his videographer just asked if anybody liked playing Call of Duty, and he said, I like playing Call of Duty. So he started playing Call of Duty with him through lockdown. Then James did a set at London Bridge. He invited everybody down. Sabian turned up to the set at London Bridge. He stayed around after, met all the team, spoke to James, and then he led with value. He just said, can I help you pack away something? Can I carry some bags for you? Do you need me to take them wires home or anything? And he kept in touch and kept following up. And then fast forward 2 years later, James comes to our studio to do the Off the Record podcast, and he was on his UK tour. And we go to his show at night, and on the tour bus, I walk into the tour bus and Sabian's in the corner. And he says, Lawrence, I just want to thank you guys at Crossfader so much. I learned to DJ in lockdown, and now I'm opening up for every single one of James's shows on his UK tour. So it just shows that with the right preparation, and just by having genuine intentions, leading with value, and taking opportunity, amazing things can happen. This is Lauren. This is one of our newest students. She's based in America. And all she wanted to do was learn how to DJ for her wedding. And she started making content. We discovered her, and we just thought she was fun and amazing. But through that, she's actually growing quite a large audience. And I'm going through her DMs, and there's people literally offering her gigs in DMs just by her enjoying something and having sort of, again, a genuine desire to just want to play at her wedding. And now she's thinking, maybe there's actually something in this. Maybe there's something in this for me. This is Rob R. He's from Sri Lanka, and he's actually quite a successful businessman. But he always had a passion for electronic music and Sri Lankan music, and he wanted to merge the two together. So again, he came, I discovered him online, invited him over to our studio to do the podcast. And just like a load of people in here, he had great live skills that he could apply. And he wanted to merge his love of South Asian culture with electronic music. So he bought a cheap $200 controller. He jumped on a moped and just drove around his community in Sri Lanka. And he's amassed thousands and thousands of followers. He's doing gigs from London to India to Malaysia. He's now teaching DJ workshops all around the world. And again, it's that having the preparation and the right tools, and then just having that desire and passion to share what it is that he loves. And then finally, 2 people I want to speak about. A couple of years ago, I was at Tomorrowland. I went to see Dom Dollar. And backstage, this girl comes running up to me. She says, thanks, Crossfader. I learned to DJ with you a couple of years ago, and I'm actually doing a set at Tomorrowland. I was like, this sounds amazing. I've got to speak to you more about it. So we jumped on a call the week after. I was like, please tell me your story. And she basically entered a DJ competition for Tomorrowland. But interestingly, she didn't win. But what she did was she followed up and she said, I'd love to know how I could improve. And they absolutely love that attitude. And they give her one of the sets anyway. And she's been DJing there for the last 2 or 3 years at Tomorrowland, which is just an amazing thing of having the right preparation, having the right education, the right passion, following up. On the right, this one, this is Moon Yin. So we hosted at Crossfader a Rise Festival DJ competition. Rise Festival is a festival in the French Alps in December. It's a snow festival. It's a huge festival. Jason Status headline last year. And we hosted a Rise DJ competition. 1,500 people entered that DJ competition. And we found Moon Yin's story quite compelling. She grew up in Australia with not much electronic music scene around. She moved to the Netherlands. She submitted a mix, she submitted a video, and we fell in love with her story and her mixing abilities as well. But not only just that, and so also she's won the DJ set at Rise main festival, so she's playing this year in December. We're all going out there, and she's playing at one of the main stages. She's also playing at our mixer tonight in at the Art Hotel in Central, in the centre. But not only that, what we learned through Crossfader is out of the 1,500 people that entered, we've got a huge list of like maybe 100 to 150 DJs that we just thought was amazing. They had great social content, the great mixes. So we are now reaching out to those DJs to do collaborative content. They're coming into the studio to record mixes. Some of them might be doing the podcast. So it just goes to show that even though the ultimate goal wasn't achieved for some people, amazing things along that journey can still happen. And it is a great case of when preparation meets opportunity. You might be in a position where you're walking around ADE thinking things might not be happening for you, but you don't realize until you get an opportunity or you make a break that all of the things you're doing now, especially being at ADE, all of the things that you are doing now are contributing to your later success. So even if you don't think you are where you should be right now, all of these little things adding up is your preparation for when that opportunity ultimately arises. And now I want to talk about a big one, which is you filled up these buckets of the passion, you've leaned into technology, you're trying to build a community. Yeah, it works. You've leaned into the community. And now, once you've taken that opportunity, you're going to need attention. And I call it attention because you probably hear a lot of talks about what content to make and how often to post, the tools and tricks to social media. But ultimately, the way I would like to frame it is that you need to gather some attention if your goal is to go to that next level. If you're a producer DJ, you want to be on these stages. Attention is key, and it's not a social media hack. It's not what you put on your hook. And I think that I could give you all of those little tips, but I don't think it's a long-term strategy that you can rely on or fall back on. But what you can fall back on is your personality. And through what we've learned through working with thousands and thousands of students and speaking to some of the biggest DJs in the world, is that your personality is a marketing strategy, and you don't have to pretend or come up with some fake ideas to market or to gather attention. And I want to talk you through 4 different archetypes of personality that I hope most of you will fit into or at least relate to. The first one is the storyteller. So I put James Hype on the screen, but a lot of you will resonate with somebody who uses storytelling constantly as a marketing tool to get attention. And no story is too big or too small. If you've just got your first 100 followers, I want you to screenshot that. That is part of your story. If you've sent out 10 tracks and they haven't got signed, I want you to document that and tell people about that, because that is the part of your story. If you just had your first DJ set and nobody showed up, I want you to document that, because that is part of your story. And in 2 years or 3 years or in 6 months, when you are DJing to a packed venue, you've got the split test, you've got where you come from and where you are now. And you won't realize it until you're at a position. But all of these little things add up to being your story. And I think it's constantly repeatable. Things are always happening in your life, good and bad. And I think that you can lean into this as as a long-term strategy. It's not about what's the latest trend on, Instagram or TikTok. It is constantly telling people about you, and people can follow along for the journey. I'm sure most of you seen how James Hype represents himself in carousels or on podcasts or on his social media. Everything has a beginning, middle, and end, or he carries you along for the journey. The second one is the entertainer. If you're funny, if you're an extrovert, that is a marketing strategy. I actually don't like most of Fisher's songs, but last 2 weeks ago I paid €150 to get in Universe to see him because I think he's hilarious and I follow every single one of his posts and he makes me laugh on a daily basis. So if you are funny and you are an entertainer, that you don't have to pretend, you can just show people that. And I think that, again, leaning into what personality type you are can just work in a long-term strategy and you don't have to force anything. The next one is the rebel. If you have an opinion, put your opinion out there. If you are somebody who has, strong, and I'm not talking about alienating people on purpose. I'm saying that if you have a voice and you feel strongly about a certain subject, and that is your nature, if you're the one, having deep conversations, or that again is a long-term marketing strategy. Let's go. That is a long-term marketing strategy. I don't know if most of you have seen this, but Chapter and Verse is a good example, but there's so many DJs and producers out there that says it how it is. And the best part about this archetype is you will get some pushback that you need to be comfortable with. However, the people in your army will ride or die for you. Like, they will fall in love with you because you are their voice. So if that is you, it is a long-term marketing strategy, and I think you should just lean into that. Be prepared and make sure you're comfortable with, alienating people if you're going to be, saying some polarizing things. It's not about going out of your way to upset somebody. It's just about, if you believe something, absolutely say it. And I think it's repeatable over and over and over again. And the final one is the educator. It's somebody who you go to for, it might be, if you've made a track and you show behind the scenes of a track, you might be giving away free edits or free bootlegs, giving somebody some value constantly. When I come to your social feeds, you might be giving me access to, a free plugin, or you might be, breaking news about a new DJ controller that's just dropped. Something that gives your audience a reason to keep coming back, and showing them behind the scenes of what makes you you. If you're making tracks, if you're making DJ mixes. We actually had a student who's blown up recently. He was doing online long form DJ mixes, and then he just started showing people how he made the DJ mixes, and they've just gone like 10x his views like overnight, because people want to see the behind the scenes. So it's about basically what can you offer as value. Something that we try to do all the time at Crossfader is to just give people value constantly, and it gives a reason for people to keep coming back and ultimately like trust you. So where do you fit in 2026? We've talked about all these separate buckets, and if you think about how full each one of your buckets in will probably define where you are in your DJ career. So if you can find your passion, whether it's in events, whether it's in the clubs, in the bars, whether it's a producer DJ on stage at Coachella, if you get the education that is personal to you and your journey and not what you think, a DJ should be, if you lean in and embrace new technology and fill up those buckets, if you build community, get access, and build your network with genuine intentions over a long period of time, and then you seek out opportunity, take the opportunity, and then do your best to grab attention, at the intersection of all them is ultimately where your DJ career lies. So you might be thinking to yourself that you may be strong in other areas, you might actually be great at content, but you don't have a big network. Or you're actually thinking, I'm not actually interested in being a club DJ, like I want to, just make content. Figure out which bucket it is that you need to fill out of all of these different ones. And if you need help with education, I know most of you know what we do, but again, we teach over 20,000 students every year. We've got over 30 to 40 different DJ courses on different software, different genres. So if you need any help with that, Crossfader is always here, and it's amazing seeing people just walking through the streets and having a chat with you guys. And if you need help with making music and making edits, we've actually just this week launched a brand new product with Toolroom Academy, which is taking you as a DJ and helping you take that next step to making tracks, which is like edits and remixes and tracks that you find and you want to play it in your DJ sets. And we have literally just launched that this week, and I want to just play you the trailer now.
You know how to DJ. Now it's time to make the music that you want to play. Introducing the DJ to Producer course, a hands-on production course made specifically for DJs. I'm Lewis John from the Toolroom Academy. Together with Crossfader, we're bringing you a step-by-step system for creating your first edits, mashups, remixes, and original tracks. No confusing theory, no starting from scratch, just real-world techniques that you can use straight away inside Ableton Live. Access exclusive samples and get support through our private Discord community. By the end of this course, you won't just be mixing tracks, you'll be making them. So let's get started.
So we're super excited about it. It's a collaboration with Toolroom Academy, and it's been one of our most successful and most asked for products, and we're delighted to bring it. And if you want to join Crossfader or the DJ to Producer course, I'll leave the QR codes on screen. But that's it from me. I'll take any questions if there is any. But yeah, thank you for listening, by the way, guys. Thank you.
My question is that what if you want to be grounded in this whole big industry world, so you still want to play in those clubs, but you are not storyteller, you don't want to be a storyteller, you don't want to be a fun person, you just want to be grounded. So you're kind of taking away all of this pressure that the industry can take you. How to stay grounded in this and what's required. That's what I meant.
I think that you'd have to get ultimately clear on what it is that you want to do. If people, depending on your goal and your end goal, if the people on stage are a storyteller or an educator, then you've got to have a real sort of conversation with yourself. Is that the route for me, and is that possible? But ultimately, if you are more grounded and if you are more reserved, that is your marketing tool, that is your archetype of person, and you want to find the community that resonates with that in some way, whether you tell it through a faceless channel on Reddit posts or Discord and you find that community, or whether you just want to be a bit more level-headed and a bit more grounded on your social media. You need to find that community that resonates with you and that fan base that resonates with you. But then you've got to have a genuine and honest conversation with yourself about, if I need to get to X, who are the people doing the things that I want to do, and is that goal feasible, or do I need to lean into being more of a storyteller or an educator? And being a storyteller doesn't mean that you're showing off. It's quite the opposite, actually. You are just telling people about yourself and your journey. The entertainer would be the loud and brash and front-facing forward one, but a storyteller is actually being grounded and being real and honest with people about who it is that you are personally. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Test it. Okay, now it's
mate.
working. Sorry. So you talked a lot about the kind of these archetypes that were actually for online presence, right?
Sure.
So do you think like being a DJ 2026 goes like only through the online presence, or do you think there's still space for real world interactions and building a community through this kind of real world interactions?
Again, ultimately depends what your real big goal. If your real big goal is big crowds, big stages, people buying tickets, then you have to have a marketing plan. In my personal opinion, you have to be active and get pretty good at social media. If you want a local community doing cool raves or cool pop-ups, you absolutely can do that in real person, and you can do that through faceless channels like I mentioned, and you can do it in real life and connecting with people, starting WhatsApp groups, maybe just starting your own YouTube channel, which you've seen, people in like coffee shops and, down the local skate park and things like that. You can build that. But ultimately, if it's the, Coachella stage that you want, you have to be realistic and honest with yourself about leaning into maybe one of the market types, or just understanding that the ultimate goal of these big DJs that are able to sell tickets
Like my question is more related to a beginner DJ. So like lately I get questions from whenever I'm playing that did you produce the music, or did you have any tracks that you wrote or something? And a person who's starting to DJ and they have no experience with music theory, or they've never done that course before, yeah, whenever they were in school or something, how difficult will it be to transition from a DJ to a producer for a person with no experience in music theory?
Yeah, sure. Well, ultimately, myself and Danny, who's from Crossfader as well, has had a very successful career as a DJ, not a producer. So being able to mix and perform in front of crowds and being in local bars, restaurants, playing at weddings and events, that is a total career path, and you can be very successful about that. But obviously, if you want to be on stages at festivals, or you want to get booked under your name as a brand and ultimately sell tickets, music production is probably the only way to unlock that, unless you create an amazing big fan base as a DJ if you're technically great or you've got some sort of USP. But I would definitely lean in if that's your ultimate goal, is to be booked under your name and performing at events and have your name on flyers and things like that. You definitely need to lean into music production, because ultimately fans outside of the DJ world want to listen to your music and then come and watch you play. Does that answer your question? How hard is it? It's hard. It's hard, right? It's why everybody's here, to try and figure out. Time is, as a beginner DJ, time is your best friend. You ultimately want to fall in love with the process of curation and discovery, because if you're trying to force an end goal too soon, you're missing out the whole point. The actual point is, coming to events like this and going through the journey and learning and, having Ableton up and messing around with it and finding something that works. Ultimately, that is also part of the fun and the enjoyment. So instead of trying to put a lot of pressure on yourself to be like, I need to be like this or this, try and enjoy the process, because if this is fun for you, you can do it forever. But when it becomes a chore or a job, it's really difficult.
Yeah, thank you. Warren from Munich, and glad to be here, learned a lot. I was just wondering, so you were talking about the stages you guys offer, basically beginner stage 1 to 6 you were mentioning, and I felt like 6 was resonating a little more with me, and maybe even more advanced mentoring programs. You guys offer that as well, really just one-to-one coaching stuff?
We don't offer one-to-one coaching. We are an online platform for DJs. However, our partners at Toolroom Academy are fantastic at that. If you're after somebody who do that, they do mentorship programs over a long period of time. And the DJ to producer courses combined with them. And ultimately, what we want to do is have people inside that course comfortable with making music to go into their DJ sets. So if you want to go to that next level where you're creating your own original, unique tracks, ultimately, after that would be the goal of maybe getting mentorship, which is not only just around making music, right? It's around having the connections, speaking to people from A&R about what it is that they're looking for, having a community of people to bounce ideas off, I think is important as well. So yeah, I would recommend the guys at Toolroom Academy, because we've been working with them for almost a year now, and we've got a great relationship with them. So I can put you in touch with them if you want.
I'd like to hear you speak about, for a producer perspective, I think you need to be supported by the DJ community as well. So general population is going to support you as a fan. So providing energy to your social media for fans is good, but at some point, I believe for a producer, is it more productive to kind of try to nourish the relationships with people in the industry, and notoriety is going to come after that from being played in their sets?
That is a fantastic question, and you've almost answered it yourself. Yeah, your first initial fans are going to be DJs and producers. When you start making music, they're the people. We're all a community, right, of DJs and producers. We're all looking and sharing and connecting and trying to hype each other up and like every post. So we are your fans immediately. And you can start to think about that as, again, a bit of a marketing tool. How can you create more value to your initial key audience before you get outside of the realms of the DJ producer community? I always think back to when I first heard James Hype coming up. He used to put an edit on DJ City, like a remix every single week, and it would always be great. And you'd go and you'd play it in a club, get a good reaction. So that trust over time just built and built. And it was the DJs and producers first that really sort of was his fan base. So I definitely think that it is a good tool or a good mentality to think that initially the people that you are after are DJs and producers, which is good as well because you can connect with them more easily. People are on a similar path to you or a similar journey. You can share ideas. You can collab post or get in a studio together. But yeah, it's a great thing to think about. I think your first initial audience are definitely DJs and producers for sure. Yeah.
Well, hello.
Hi.
Andrew from Prague.
Hi, Andrew.
I have a question. There's this aura all over the internet that everyone is a DJ now, right?
True.
Do you think that this is a bubble that might burst one day and people will kind of stop caring and there will be less DJs or something like that? Or it will just grow until even more people are DJs and it will be kind of unsustainable?
Yeah, we've become a bit of a meme, right?
Yeah.
We've talked a lot across the debate about what the future of DJing looks like, and with the implementation of AI and people being able to make tracks with a prompt. We always go back to the more that things get disconnected online, the more that we will come together in real life and in real person to make connections. So if there's thousands of people doing something, that's great, but I want to follow along somebody's journey. I want to know who they are and who that person is. And only a bit like when I was talking about the barrier to entry with buying turntables back in the day, and it's quite expensive. Now everyone's coming through the same funnel. The actual USP is how you are unique in yourself. What is it about you that makes me want to follow you, or makes me want to buy your track, or maybe what makes me want to listen to your mix? And I think that the more real and honest you can be, if you're putting stuff out on social to get a fan base, that is what's going to connect out of all of the random noise that is just going to overpopulate. But yeah, it does. I mean, and also I think that we also live in the DJ bubble, and we just think everyone's looking at us. But yeah, I also see the meme as well.
I DJ for a while, I had a few gigs, but I had a question how to get the interaction, because I played some songs and people were like, there was no interaction, so I played other songs, different genres, but it didn't work. Do you have any tips how you get the interaction still going?
What kind of gigs you playing? Like clubs and stuff?
No, just at restaurants or just at neighbor parties or.
Well, I think that's the reason, right? If you're playing at restaurants or local parties, it may be not the space for that kind of interaction, which is you have to be honest about what it is that you're trying to do. I played many restaurants back in the day, and you're basically providing almost like a service. And if you're playing to local friends and things like that, it's just a different atmosphere. And once you step out of this realms and you get your club gigs and your bigger spots, through experience, you're going to understand what it is that resonates with different audiences, and it varies very, very differently. Sometimes you're going to have to do some quick mixing. Sometimes you're going to have to let the track play. But ultimately, if you're playing to a crowd, you basically stress testing everything. You're trying something, you're getting feedback. You're trying something else, you're getting feedback. And over time, then building blocks just build in your mind, and that experience when you go to play the bigger shows should help. So even though you're not getting maybe the reactions you want right now, you are still trying to figure it out. And over time, you will something will stick because you're trying and different things. So don't be afraid to experiment, 100%.
And do you have maybe also tips, because I'm sometimes nervous about it or anxious?
Yeah.
And maybe I don't want to face it sometimes to DJ, but eventually when I'm DJing, I'm happy. But do you have tips beforehand that I can make my life easier, that I really want to do it? I'm always more nervous when I'm underprepared. So if I'm playing at a venue, I will research the venue. I'll speak to people who've already DJed there. I will understand the music policy. I'll, if possible, I'll even go to an event that they've had or having through the week and see what the venue's like and what it sounds going to be like, and try and imagine myself playing there. And then
you need to understand that on your way to the venue, them nerves are ultimately is because you really care about it. It's not really out of fear, it's because you really want to do a good job, right? But preparation will hopefully stand you in good stead. I find real good tools are just knowing that, you know, I've got my playlist in order, my folder structure pretty decent, I've got my hotkeys set up. I've spoke to people that have already been there. I've DM'd some DJs like, what are the tunes going off in this spot? Like, what should I be playing? And then try and prepare something beforehand. And then at least you're walking in with a bit of an idea of what's going to happen.
Thank you.
No worries. Oh, in the front, Eve? Oh, is there one there? Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah.
How do you stand out during a DJ contest?
Oh, great question. I love this one because going through 1,500 DJ entries is no easy feat. And it is amazing because you do see you see the different ways in which people enter. And this DJ contest it is a judgment. People are judging you. It's not like a random thing, right? So you need to be the best. If you're entering, don't send an old mix. Do a mix for the competition because it shows that you care. We had people sending in mix from like 6 years ago. And I'm like, I know you don't care. So you need to stand out. Try and do something within the mix that's maybe like relative to the competition. Maybe, I don't know, if you get on the mic or you play a track that's sort of relative to that area or that festival or something that connects with that. Another good tip is when we had people sending like audio entries on SoundCloud, people would then upload their mixes in like short form to like Instagram and TikTok, showing like the mix or like showing transitions from the mix. So all these little things just tick a box, and it gets narrower and narrower because people get put in less effort, and it's because that people kind of want to enter, but they don't want to enter because they don't want to be told no. Whereas if you enter, you should want to win, or try your best. And ultimately, again, like I mentioned before, it wasn't just the person that won it; it's the 100 DJs that we discovered through doing this DJ competition that we are now going to do collaborative things with that are all amazing, right? Because only one person can win. So it might not be the thing that you want in the end, but if you put your best foot forward, something else might come of it. Like Naomi, who came second and got the gig anyway. How are we for time? We good? Yeah. 1 minute, right? One more, one or two more. Down here.
Hi. I was wondering, in which point of your career do you need a manager or a booking agent?
When you're selling tickets. And even then, we speak to big DJs who still kind of do it all themselves, that have got hundreds and hundreds of thousands of followers and subscribers, because it's expensive. And if you're not making if you're not making good money, and what I mean good money is even some of the big guys, they're traveling, they're getting a DJ fee, right? But then they're traveling, across the world for it. They're staying in hotels, paying for their own hotels, all their expenses during it. And what they, come out with is very little in comparison. So you really have to be at a good level to be able to ultimately pay somebody to come along the journey with you. And that does take a long time. And I also think there's something really amazing about learning all the intricacies yourself on the way, like learning how to make content, learning how to network, learning how to manage time schedules and flights and all that kind of thing until you offload that to another person. But it is a long way down the road for sure.
Okay, thank you.
All right, last one, thank you.
Hey, Lawrence.
Hi, mate, you okay?
Hey, good day. So what you mentioned earlier about community building and building your brand is great stuff. One thing which I've come across over the past couple of years, which in my opinion shouldn't be a big issue, but it seems like it is an issue, especially for music fans, is the aesthetics of how a DJ performs, the way they behave on stage, how they're dressed, how they perform. And, attending parties and raves with friends, this seems to be a thing where the performer, the DJ, is judged on not only their musical ability and their mixing skills, but also how they present themselves and what they're wearing and how they act. And I'm just curious, from your perspective, given all the experience you have with Crossfader, is that something you give guidance on, or do you have any views, opinions on that in today's world? How an upcoming DJ or someone that's trying to make a name for themselves can take that into consideration?
It's a great question. I mirror it similar to the marketing strategy of the different sort of archetypes of people. You know and love and go and see DJs that all perform differently. Like Solomon is very different to James Hype and different to Maupi and etc. But they all have unique fan bases individually. I do agree that the performance aspect of a DJ is growing and growing, and it might be something that you can use to stand out in what we said earlier of everyone trying to become a DJ. I do agree that performance is becoming part of it. If you think about that, there's been something like a 40% rise in DJs performing headline shows at your generic festivals instead of like rock bands or rappers or anything like that. And that means that DJs are performing more, right? However, you can't force that. Just similar to the marketing strategy, you've kind of got to lean into what makes you yourself. If you are a storyteller, if you are an introvert, you will still find that that audience that resonates with you. Not everybody resonates with somebody jumping up and down for an hour. Not everybody, right? Not everybody really likes that. Some people like Solomon chilling with a cigarette in his mouth, So if it's not you, don't waste your time being you. But if it is you, lean into it. Guys, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate your time. It's been amazing. Thank you so much.
So we've just wrapped up the first part of today. We've been at the AD Village and we've been doing a talk on the Native Instruments panel, and it was great to walk around the village. We saw our friends at Alpha Theta. We went into the AD lab, saw loads of little different equipment from Technics and III and Ableton. It was really good to bump into a few students or just fans of Crossfader in general. And we are just now getting ready for the mixer tonight. Over 700 people have signed up and we're excited. The weather is absolutely atrocious, so we're just hoping and praying that the turnout is really good. We've got some of our Crossfader students DJing. We've got some Toolroom Academy students DJing as well. It's at the Art Hotel and Arca Bar in central Amsterdam, just over the road from Central Station. And we're super excited about it. It's the Crossfader and Toolroom mixer tonight. I hope it's busy. Let's go.